What's going on, fucking motherfuckers? Today I'm making a YouTube video. Let's briefly talk about history. History sucks. Modern medicine is a miracle. The idea of surviving cancer in like 20, I don't know, I'm just gonna throw a number up here, but that was like, and you can all kind of do that now. We live in an age where we have things like antivenoms, antibiotics, we have painkillers and things like that that actually work. Different things like that. But all of this being said, let's take a look through some not so effective, but some worked, but a lot of, let's look at some quackery throughout medical history. I want to start off with the Comet Pills. In the 1910s, there were Comet Pills. So back in 1910, Halley's Comet is set to pass by Earth. This scares the shit out of everybody. Everybody starts peeing and pooping their pants and shitting their pants. The reason this mass hysteria surrounding the comet happened in the first place was the gas. It farts. No, it'd be farting. Halley's Comet had a tail on it that was made out of gas, and one of the gases in that was cyanide, and that, you know, rightfully scared the shit out of everybody, because that, what the fuck? But what they didn't know is that the gases wouldn't do anything to us. It's gonna diffuse through our atmosphere, if anything, if it gets to the atmosphere. It's not as close to the Earth as it looks, but they don't know that. It's the 1910s. They don't know anything. They were selling Comet Pills. They don't know anything. All this being said, the public started to buy a ton of gas masks. I'm sure people started to invest in maybe fortifying their homes, stocking up to stay inside. I don't know. I assume it was probably like, I don't know, maybe like a scaled down version of Coke. It freaked people out. What started to come out of this was the creation of anti-comet pills, or pills that are meant to make you immune to the comet. I don't know. There were two specific Texans, which shout out to y'all, probably my relatives, I don't know. They were arrested for selling sugar pills and marketing them as a cure-all for the comet, so you could just take them and nothing about that comet would affect you. You'd just be fine, you're comet-proof. They turned out to be sugar pills, and they didn't like that. The cops didn't like that. It was okay to drink radioactive water, which we'll talk about in a second, but you can't take sugar. You're going to jail for it. And now on the topic of radioactive water. Y'all might have heard of Radithor, and if that doesn't ring a bell, the name Eben Byers might. In the early 1900s, motherfuckers was just putting radium in water. You could just buy radium water. And if you don't know what radium is, it is a radioactive and also very toxic just thing. I don't know, just compound, I guess. I'll call it a compound. All you need to know about it is it's pretty fucking radioactive. It's Fallout radioactive. You start hearing shit when you get near it. What people back then, because we've already established that they're dumb, didn't know about radium, which was a lot, but primarily the fact that it was radioactive and highly toxic, and that prolonged use of it would kill you. Eben Byers is the most probably infamous example of prolonged usage of Radithor, the radium water. Basically, if you had any kind of aches or pains, or needed a boner, you would drink this radioactive water. It didn't work. This guy, Eben Byers, he decided, this does work for me, and gaslit himself into believing that all of those health benefits were actually happening to him. His mouth fell off, and he died of a bunch of different types of cancer. That's probably one of the worst ones on the list, actually. Don't drink radioactive water. Instead, you should drink some Vin Mariani, cocaine wine. So Vin Mariani was a tonic wine mixed with a lot of cocaine, and this debuted in 1863. This is when this hit the shelves. People were going crazy for Vin Mariani tonic wine. Reason being that they marketed this product to overworked men, which was very common at the time. This is the average hourly work week back then. So that's very common. That's a huge customer basis. Overworked men. That's all America had back in 1910 or 1863. I mean, so I don't know. That's all they had. This tonic wine mixed with a load of cocaine was basically like the first energy drink, kind of like, or not the first. It was one of the first mass market energy drinks that you could just buy, like consumer energy drinks that you could just go to the general store, I guess, and just buy. And use of this continued up into the early 1900s. It continued sales up into the 1900s. It shifted its focus from overworked men to just a general nervous system stimulant. Something you could just drink and it just is healthy. It was. The amount of cocaine in this and in other things, such as like Coca-Cola was another popular one that y'all probably have heard of. And cocaine gums and stuff like that. These were very common for like energy stimulants, nervous system stimulants, any kind of stimulant. It's cocaine. In the 1910s, I think specifically 1914, but I'll put the correct date here. Cocaine was regulated. They took it off the shelves. It was no longer sold anymore. This included. Reason being, it had a bunch of cocaine in it, dude. But yeah, things with cocaine in them surprisingly are not the best for your health. And I'm certain it killed people. But I don't know the specific reason they banned it. Probably for the same reason they banned alcohol at a time and weed. Because you can't have anything fun. You can't do anything fun. I'm just kidding, by the way. Don't do cocaine. And Vin Mariani, what I particularly enjoy about this is that you were recommended to have 2 to 3 glasses a day. That is a lot of cocaine. Mouse paste. Mouse paste. You know Origel? That's basically what mouth paste was. Yeah. Mouse paste was used back in ancient Egypt as a toothache remedy. If you had a sore tooth, what they would do is take a mouse, grind it up with some herbs, some other stuff, rub that right up into your gums. Just get all that funk in there too. Just real, Your breath smelled nice after. I'm sure, what the f*** are they putting, I'm sorry, I'm going off script here. What the f*** are they doing putting herbs in this shit like that's gonna do anything? That ain't gonna do anything, it's dead mouth. Back then when you got a toothache, you'd get the mouse paste just rubbed up into your gums, and surprisingly, it didn't work. What this would do, majority of the time, is just give you an infection and make the pain arguably worse. So, they kept doing it for a while. So I'm just gonna move on to my next and final weird medicine, which, granted, this is the only one that worked, kinda. This is also one of the only ones that's not necessarily a medicine. It's more of like a physical therapy, if you'd call it that. Malaria therapy. So back through the 1920s and the 1950s, syphilis was a big deal. Everybody and their auntie had syphilis. That's probably true. Al Capone had syphilis. This guy had syphilis, probably. It was common throughout the 1920s and into the early 1950s before the invention of penicillin. What they would do to treat your syphilis was purposefully infect you with malaria. That malaria from the mosquitoes and shit that they talk about is bad. They would induce syphilis patients with malaria because malaria gives you a huge, temperature spike. It gives you a terrible fever. And so, syphilis, being a temperature-sensitive bacteria, would die off when you got the malaria fever. But 15%, or roughly 15%, that's the estimated number that I could find, of the patients died. But it's still stupid, but kind of a very low number for not being that medically advanced. And the other, I guess, the other 85% of the time it worked. Those that recovered from malaria after receiving this form of therapy for syphilis would be fine. Like, they'd recover well and just be, oh, I don't have syphilis anymore, I'm okay, I'm gonna go have sex again. And then they would probably go have sex again and get more syphilis. If you thought any of this bullshit was interesting or cool, make sure to leave a like on this video, or not. If you hated it, leave a dislike and comment for me to take my own life, and I will do it. If you want me to rub some mouse paste into your gums, just go ahead and subscribe and and glaze me in the comment section. I need it.
It's caught in the crossfire.